America first.
Kristi
President
Noem
Trump has a clear
is the
message
leader
for
to
those
take
who are
care
in
of our
country
borders.
illegally. Leave now.
We are
If
grateful.
you don't, we will find you, and we will deport you. You will never return. For too long, weak politicians left our borders wide open. They flooded our communities
very
with drugs,
serious.
human trafficking, and violent criminals. They put American lives at risk. Well, those days are over. If you leave now, you may have an opportunity to return and enjoy our freedom and live the American dream. But understand this. Under President Trump, America's borders are closed to lawbreakers. Follow the law, and you'll find opportunity. Break it, and you'll find consequences. The choice is yours. America welcomes those who respect our laws, because a strong nation is a safe nation.
It's
I'm Kristi
exactly
Noem,
right.
United States Secretary.
What
This
happens if
this
microplastics get into your
exactly right.
bloodstream?
And this is with the
According to
microplastics also.
NCBI, ingested or inhaled microplastics may accumulate in the body and trigger an immune response or cause local particle toxicity.
And I worked on
In addition,
microplastics
chronic
in
exposure
2007,
may cause more problems through accumulation in the body.
and I said
A new
no
study proves that we've
microplastics.
been lied to about the safety test. Up to 100.
So this is very serious. So those two subjects we'll talk about today briefly. My name is Lucia, Arden, and I want to show you that it's very serious. The immigrants, she's doing a beautiful job to make sure our country is safe. And there's human trafficking. 1 out of every 4 immigrants get human trafficked when they pass the borders. So it's not only that they're danger to ourselves, to their selves, but also to the people and community, and to their genogram, the years and years of heritage that hasn't been assessed, because 1 out of every 4 get human trafficked, and then it's hard to get out of the system. It's very, very serious. And before, I thought that we could, if the immigrants weren't able to be taken out, that they could share commodities from their countries to pay us monies to keep their immigrants. And this is what maybe we could do in the future. And I think that immigrants that need to come here, we need to bring them here legally. And the geopolitical problems, so much in geopolitical problems nowadays. So you can't leave the borders open. They'll bring nuclear warfare. They could bring computer systems to control our computer systems, such as our electricity. They could bring faulty businesses. But I believe that the Africans came, remember? And there's big money in Africa. What needs to be done is that we need to bring businesses. The answer is to bring businesses to those countries that are paradigms of business, that are perfect businesses, that will work in their country to make money, so their immigrants and citizens will have jobs. So it goes beyond just that they're bringing many violences, but there's other things that are very serious about the immigrants. You know, in the time of the war, of the Civil War, 620,000 white men fought and died for the war to protect our country, and 1/3 of the Union Army soldiers were immigrants, and nearly 1 in 10 was African American. But we were taking care of our America. We didn't have problems with geopolitical problems at the time. That was years ago, in this time of the Civil War. And this is why we need to realize that things have changed. Even though we had immigrants in our country in the past without being legally here, things have changed. We have to take consideration the geopolitics. And I want to say this, that we're just not making laws and regulations because it's our bias or our ideological belief system. Just like she says, the politicians, our beautiful Kristi Noem said, our politicians left our borders open. No, this is to protect our America. They elect us. It's a very, very serious, and God protects us, but we need to use good discernment. And this is very important. And the immigrants, we can do business with the commodities of their countries and own to pay for their stay in the U.S. And this is what I'm saying. We could go to Africa, because many excellent immigrants, and same with the other countries. It's just that these countries, the rich hold on to all the money and they don't know how to disperse it to their immigrants, or they don't do it. And they have certain laws that they don't put their people first. But this has to be taken care of. And we have to realize that this is a very big backlash. Many immigrants came and took and bought those apartment complexes, and many people were taken out of their home. And also the immigrants purchased the apartment complex and were paying, the owners, the citizens had to pay these immigrants. And where did they get the money? See, that's another thing is, and then here they came in free without any situation there. And then there's big fentanyl. With the fentanyl, many people have died of fentanyl overdose. Fentanyl-involved opioid deaths surged more than 23-fold over the last decade, while prescription opioid deaths remained steady and heroin deaths declined. Fentanyl deaths more than doubled during the pandemic, increased from 36,359 in 2019 and 838 in 2022. The figure of 2023 and 2024. And look at heroin is not as strong as fentanyl. We talked about how serious fentanyl is. So our beautiful Kristi Noem under President Trump and the team is telling you we're doing this, but this is something that has to be done. It's actually one of the greatest things that need to be done in America to safety. Just like she said, Kristi Noem, and I've always said that safety first. We have to have safety in order to have a protected nation, and a working nation. And 1 out of every people will be affected. Open borders to immigrants, 25 million immigrants came in. Immigrants across U.S., approximately 25 million immigrants came in. Immigrant smuggling all across the borders, children missing, criminals, immigrants, billions of dollars are given to immigrants. It was 60 billion immigrants under Kamala came in Biden, 60 billion to vets. So $60 billion was given to immigrants, but 60 billion to the veterans were only given. That's terrible. But the thing is what I don't understand is, I do understand it because I believe that they're treason to their own country, is why would they let all the immigrants, when they were printing the highest debt ever, they printed the most dollars ever in the nation and in our nation because of the lockdowns, which I disagreed and many other disagreed with the lockdowns. And so they printed so much money and they were spending so much money. And so we have the highest debt, which has to be considered. So why would they let the immigrants in after all the CC problems, correct? And then print all this money that we have the greatest debt that we've ever had in our country, and printed the most money, and we have a very, very high debt that has to be considered. So that's another important point. And I saw a post in social posts, which you can't always go by. Like I said, censorship, corporate censorship, you have to go with you worked with. I'm showing these points that because I'm a political analyst for many years for America, I'm showing the work that I've done. But this is even more important of the work that I've done. That's not it. It's to back up the proof to show that we need to take care of our America. That's what's important. So someone says, you don't have to show your work. Yes, you do, because a lot of times your work is taken or it's changed around the words. Like they tried to change what President Trump wants to do in the team, that we have to get it straight and tell the truth and get the facts. And this is very important why Kristi Noem under President Trump's team needs to protect our borders. We have to investigate the immigrants, which they did. They took them out, the criminals. And immigrants, we have to protect the children. Stop open borders, assess all immigrants to protect the children. New laws if committed crimes, because a lot of the immigrants, I believe, are still hiding, and they take children. The immigrants come with children, or many of the immigrants were adults. If you notice when they came in, most of them were men, but I believe a lot are hidden, and they haven't found them yet. That's why she said, Kristi Noem says, you better turn yourself in or go. And exactly right, because that's what I felt before President Trump got in. I felt that they were hiding. It was obviously they're all there. They all came in. Where were they? The homeless were the ones that were visible. And then when they came in, they were given places to live. Remember, hotels and money and phones, and our own people were homeless on the streets and still are in New York and San Francisco, in Maine and other Philadelphia and other places as such. It's terrible. And this is why I hate to name names here, but it has to be addressed, because we cannot have a Democratic Party anymore that is communistic, because there's no more Democratic Party that is America first. It's all controlled by the world controls. And under Biden and Kamala, we already had the great debt, which is the death to our country, is the debt, because they printed so much money. And why would they let the immigrants in? See, isn't that they don't take that in consideration, because that's not their point to take care of. They just have to get the point and make sure, Kristi Noem makes sure that our borders are protected. But it's important to tell the people on my side, to tell why, and it'll help you understand the urgency of what President Trump is doing and his team about the borders. I believe the borders are simultaneously to everything. I think they're one of the most important things, because you have to have safety to have a country, and we have things that pass through the borders. And I want to be positive and optimistic that we catch them. That's why they had those drones a month ago. Having the drones all over America, because they believe a nuclear got through. So maybe they found it. It's a very, very serious thing. And we need to realize, under Biden and Kamala regime, they printed the most money ever in the history, the greatest debt. President Trump, 15% of $1 billion, he had a leftover, President Trump, from his presidency, 15% of a $1 billion of CCP savings, of the money for the CCP virus. And he used that also, 15% of $1 billion. Biden used that with Kamala, and 8.2 billion and more for our country. And this is terrible. So see how when there's contraindications, when big serious things are done like that in a country, because it's very vast, so you'll see billions and billions of dollars wasted, and it could ruin part of your country and ruin many, many lives, which 1 out of every 10 people are affected by these immigrants. And we need to clean this up right away. And the immigrants themselves also, they come here and they promise them things, and what can they give them? They gave them a place to live, and we spent $60 billion on immigrants and $6 billion on veterans. That's terrible. And there's a lot of homeless veterans, and a lot of veterans need assistance, daily assistance, because of their condition for giving their life for our country. And many have been under very treacherous, violent accidents. Think about that. Think. Now, open border immigrants. Money is given to the immigrants and not to the Americans. Immigrants, San Antonio, Texas, and all states, human smuggling. They smuggled the immigrants, and they gave money too. Some of the immigrants had money, and they paid others, like even border control people. At one time, under Biden and Kamala, there were some treacherous people that were border control that took money for these immigrants. Immigrant smuggling across all the borders. They would come through Texas and then put them through. And children missing, criminals, immigrants, billions of dollars to immigrants may be used for crimes. And for the crimes also, it's a very, very bad situation. That we could never have these borders open again. They need to be controlled. Open borders, ISIS in, CCP, Chinese war, all geopolitical powers, Russia, China, Iran. This is very important to reiterate in nuclear threat and sociological takeover. I talked about this for so much, I got in trouble for it, because I talked about it while Biden was in. And I had a lot of things happen. I don't want to say, because I'm alive and everything is wonderful, but this is terrible that this happened to our country, and we need to take care of it right away. Another thing is that I heard when I was in Spicewood, Texas, that they were making drug kitchens. Young immigrants and also young Americans for these kitchens, and they caught them, and I'm so glad they did. And that's very, very common. That was happening. So it affects everyone. The immigrants have affected everyone. And we need to make solutions for this. We need to make negotiations. So this is very, very important. It's an important thing that it's more important than you could ever think of. And this is my book that I wrote, and I wrote in 2020 about immigrants in A Rise to God's Truth. But this book is America in God First, America Our Miracle. And I'll show you the book. So let's put it over here and see how this book, it talks about America, but it has Christian-based ideas, but it has proven facts. I don't talk rhetoric. I prove in the facts. And here it is. God first, America, our miracle. God first, nations are miracle. And this has to go with every nation nowadays, has to protect their borders because geopolitical powers and imperialistic nations want to take other nations. And if it's not them, they could be groups, such as small groups, ISIS, or cartels, or thievery, are groups of criminals that conspire and then have crimes. So all countries nowadays have to watch their borders. The borders have to be watched. This is high. This is so important. Thank you so much. This is Lucia Arden, and I appreciate your time. And this is a beautiful day today that we need to realize that George Washington, he gave his life, to us. And I know that things weren't perfect when they took over America, but he came and he gave his life, and he was also the president, but he was also a warrior that fought on the land to take care of his people. And that's our first president, if you don't know. That's George Washington. In 1776, our country became a free country. And in 1774, we had a beautiful prayer, as I talked about it, of the Continental Congress. And this is very, very important. So we cannot forget this, and then we can't forget the Continental Prayer in 1774. It's called the Continental Prayer, of 1774, that we have a prayer, and we have a covenant with God, Jesus Christ. In 1774, it's called the Continental Congress Prayer of 1774. They have a prayer that Jesus will protect us when we follow his precepts and seek him first. And that's a prayer. That's a covenant they have. And we don't talk about that. I found it when I was studying to do this work. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is Lucia Arden here. God bless you and have a beautiful, beautiful day. And our beautiful lady here. And we need to talk about the microplastics. We'll talk about that later. We cannot have microplastics. They get into the water, the ocean, and everything. It's terrible. It's not a good thing at all. Thank you so much. And our beautiful lady, Kristi Noem. She's a reflection to take care of our country, like Jesus Christ. All of us need to do the highest level of justice. We need to seek that, to be a reflection, to take care of our country. And all countries do nowadays. Things have changed. We cannot have an open borders. All countries need to protect themselves and their nation because of geopolitical powers in the way globalization, people have gone from country to country, and they have different belief systems and different respect values and so forth. Thank you so much. This is Lucia Arden. Please give me a call, and I'd be happy to work with you. Thank you very much. God bless you. Have a beautiful day.